If you want to be more efficient and effective while running your business with more inner peace than working on the core of your issues instead of putting on a band-aid is vital. Welcome to the Business Brain Podcast.
I'm your host, Esty Rapport, and here to help you improve your 28 cognitive functions, the 28 things that make up thinking. In each episode, we'll discuss a real-life challenge, why you might be struggling with it, and give you practical strategies so all areas of your life will improve.
Leading a team of 20 people and being responsible for many projects, Maggie joined Optimize Your ADHD Brain to improve many areas of her life, including overwhelm, prioritizing, making decisions, creating realistic plans, and more. One thing she didn't realize was an issue until she joined the program was how many extra details her communication had. When she would share or ask questions, there would always be a lot of details and background. Her emails were very long, and even her comments in the Zoom chat were long paragraphs. While Maggie didn't share completely irrelevant information, there was a lot being said every time she communicated, and not only did this take a long time, but it also made it challenging for the people on the receiving end to really understand what she wanted from them. If you're experiencing something similar, I'm here to tell you, you do not have to struggle forever. In this episode 474 of the Business Brain Podcast, I'm going to share with you the exact steps of what you can do to have your own transformation. But first, if you're looking for specific exercises to improve specific thinking skills, I've got you. Your essential guide to cognitive functions is a super easy to understand, super easy to implement resource on each of the thinking skills. You'll get a better understanding of where each of these thinking skills are showing up in your life and ways for you to improve it. Snag your copy at lifeticksuniversity.com/guide. While you are doing any task, you, without even realizing it, are using your 28 thinking skills. When the thinking skills you need to use are strong, doing the task happens easily. The thinking skills you need to use is weak, doing the task will be a challenge. The struggle that Maggie had came from a weak thinking skill of using relevant cues. Understanding relevant cues is just what it sounds like. Understanding what is relevant to the situation. There are two ways that people can struggle with this thinking skill. Number one, they don't see cues at all. Think of people who completely miss all social cues. That's in the very extreme case, but you can even be a little bit less in that area by just missing cues. The second way people struggle with this is thinking everything is relevant. They see all the information and have a hard time deciphering what is relevant to the situation. In Maggie's case, it was a challenge with the latter. She had a hard time figuring out what was relevant. You'll want to understand in which way your brain is a challenge with relevant cues and be aware of it to make a change. If your challenge is not picking up cues at all, you want to keep the following question top of mind, any conversation or new situation. Are there any cues or details that can be helpful here? If your challenge is like Maggie's and you pick up all the cues but struggle with figuring out what's relevant to the situation, the question you want to keep top of mind is, how is this relevant to the other person you are communicating to? Remember, it can be relevant to you, but not to the other person. Often, people share more details than is necessary as a way of processing the information. This is okay when you're just having friendly chat, but can be very confusing when giving over instructions or asking an important question. If you find this is the case, you may want to take some time journaling your thoughts before going into a meeting or communicating important information. Another way you can practice sharing just what is relevant is having a conversation where after you share a thought, you repeat it while sharing just what is relevant. You can do the same when sending an email. Type out the email, but before you hit send, reread it line by line and ask yourself, is this relevant to the other person? While this is not really fun, over time you'll start noticing while you type the email, you'll be asking yourself, is this relevant to the situation? Bonus, if you've listened to episode 438 or 447, you've heard of the concept zooming in and zooming out. Use this information to zoom in or zoom out to the level of the person or the situation to give the right information. We covered a lot today around the concept of using relevant cues. The first step is to understand, is your challenge not finding the cues at all? Is it not identifying what is relevant to the situation? Your challenge this week is to pick one of the following 3 exercises. Bonus points for doing more. On a sticky note, write the questions you need to keep top of mind. Are there any cues or details that can be helpful here? How is this relevant to the other person I am communicating to? Put that sticky note near your screen so whenever you're sending emails or on a Zoom meeting, have that question as a reminder. The second thing you can do is have a conversation with a loved one where after you share a thought, you repeat back, sharing just what is relevant. And the third thing, before you send an email, reread it line by line, asking yourself, is this relevant to the other person? If your struggle is not picking up enough relevant cues, ask yourself, are there any other details that this person needs to know so they can understand this message? Have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you on the next episode. That's all for this episode of the Business Brain Podcast. If you enjoyed it, please share it with 2 of your business friends so they too can gain from it, and you'll be helping us reach our goal of 1 million downloads by the end of 2025. Cheers to peak brain performance.